This video is sponsored by soy. Duh. More on them later. İyi akşamlar. مساء الخير عليكم. درود برشا مع بعض. Small warning. This video contains recipes with alcohol. Please do not watch if you're under the age of 18 or whatever is the legal drinking age in your country. Welcome to What the Mutfak, the show that will mix up your life. Today, as we're festive for the sake of the new year 2025, we will do a deep dive into parts of the Middle East culture that you probably didn't know. Cocktails. By the way, did I mention to you before that I have a bar, the Fahri Consolos, meaning the honorary consul, that was laureate of the 2025 Best Mixology Venue of Turkey by the prestigious Go Emilio institution? Hopefully, we're also soon going to place it in the World's Best 50. Our concept as a bar, since we opened back in 2018, is staying local and only local, as all our ingredients are only sourced from Turkey and the neighbors of Turkey, and all our infusions, sorbets, amaros, bitters, hydrosols, liqueurs, and so on are made in-house, and the menu changes seasonally according to what produce we can get our hands into. Be sure to check it out when you are in Istanbul. Our mission is to remind the whole world that the drinking culture as a whole emanated from the Middle East, and the most important alcoholic staples, including but not limited to wine, beer, and spirits, are all from our broad region. Tonight's video is coming from some experience and background in that very industry. Okay, first of all, did you know that alcohol was an Arabic word? It comes from either of two sources. Either al-kuhul, from the root kahala, meaning the obscurator, or al-ghul, the ghoul, the unseen spirit who takes you over, basically. Anyone who's had a little too much will know both the obscuration and the feeling of being overtaken pretty well. And maybe this is where the word spirit comes from after all. Think about it. Modern alcohol distillation was discovered during the Abbasid Empire, and chemists/alchemists such as Jabir ibn Hayyan, Al-Kindi, Razi, and Farabi, who were the most advanced scientists in their time on that very field, were known to distill wine to obtain the first ever spirit, the arak, or the rakı in Turkish. Now, some of those scientists were ethnically Arab, some ethnically Persian, and some ethnically Turkish. But do we really care about their specific ethnicities on What the Mutfak? At least for this episode, no. Yet we really thank them for their huge contribution, without which a lot of the modern fun we are having would not have been possible in any way. And you would not have neither vodka, nor rum, nor whiskey, nor pisco, nor tequila, nor schnapps, and many, many more, whose ancestor is that very rakı developed by those scientists during the height of the Abbasid Empire. And for the haters, yes, alcohol is an invention of Islam. Deal with it. By the way, to be clear, the first arak rakı that was invented is a cousin a little removed from the modern Turkish rakı, or the Syrian, Lebanese, Iraqi, Palestinian, and Jordanian arak, or Greek ouzo and Bulgarian mastika, the latter two, which are kinds of rakı anyways. That drink emanated much later during the Ottoman Empire and is distilled from suma wine, a fermented slurry of dry raisins first, and with aniseed in the second distillation. Yet, though, the original was made only from suma wine distillate, and deep dive on all of this coming at some point. Technically, the closest thing to the then arak would be the one made, albeit clandestinely nowadays, but still manufactured nonetheless in Iran, that is still distilled from dry raisins only. Luckily, in Turkey, we have this, the üzüm kızı, that I would translate as girl of grape, that is a historic düz rakı, or düziko, meaning flat rakı from the imperial days. Flat here means non-anicid. That was, in the 1800s, distilled by the now late Çelebi Behar Efendi in the Fermeniciler small-scale industrial area of the Galata neighborhood in Istanbul. The production of the üzüm kızı is still going on as we speak, now though in the hands of a larger rakı manufacturer from the city of Izmir, Turkey's third largest city, and the alcohol content is close to 40%, 37.8 exactly. The only thing is that instead of dried raisins like the Abbasid era recipe, it is distilled from fresh grapes. But This is the closest thing we have in Turkey today, and believe me, as someone who has well tasted the Iranian arak, it is close enough. Now, enough nerd talk, let's go and make some cocktails. Cocktail 1, the Basra lemonade. Now, this cocktail is my own invention, but rest assured that it totally could have existed in the past, as the ingredients are very simple. The king here is what we call in Turkish the Basra limonu, which are sun-dried limes of the Basra province of what is now Iraq, which, by the way, in Persian are called limoye umani, umman, lemons in Persian. When citruses are entirely dried and become totally devoid of liquid, hear how dry it is, they transform into something completely different, into a spice. As the exposure to heat creates a mini fermentation effect that brings up the flavonoids and the phenols and locks them in the remaining dry parts after the water escapes. You can make them at home by laying out limes under the sun for some days, or simply use a food dryer if you have one. They generally become like this in less than a week. The ones that I've made were done in a food dryer set at 55 degrees. This cocktail is a winter special, as in our country, Turkey, the limes required for them only become available in winter. If you can find limes in your country in the summer, great. And I'm using those amazing limes that my friend Ali from Merv sent me over. These are beautiful, super juicy, and moreover, they're readily available every winter, hanging from the millions of citrus trees literally spread around the city. You will need Basra syrup, 6 centiliters per glass. Lime juice, 3 centiliters per glass. Flat rakı, üzüm kızı, 6 centiliters per glass. Let's first make the Basra syrup. By the way, syrup is shurup in Turkish, Arabic, and Persian, another word that has passed from Arabic to Western languages. You will need, per batch of 200 grams, and I'm making 400 here, by the way, 85 grams of sugar, in which you'll pound 1 Basra lime and 2 pods of green cardamom, 115 grams of water. I'm using here an unlined copper syrup and caramel pan from soy, made from unlined copper, the most ideal tool to make your syrups. As this syrup is not exactly a simple syrup, it has 1/4 more water than sugar by weight, i.e. it is a 3 to 4 syrup. We want it to stay that way. Don't overboil it so that the water does not evaporate away. Instead, bring it to a simmer, let the sugar dissolve fully and the spices infuse, and be sure to let it cool down at room temperature so that the dried lime and cardamom steep really well into it. After it cools, strain it and place it in a small pitcher. Also, juice a bunch of limes in another container and set it aside. Now, let's make the cocktail. I combine the ingredients in my Çanakkale shaker and shake well. The formula to remember here is 2-2-1. 2 measures each from the flat rakı and the Basra syrup, and 1 measure of the lime juice. So using this math, you can scale it up indefinitely. For example, I'm making 2 servings here. And I'll pour it and serve it on these beautiful crystal glasses from the prestigious Nude brand from Turkey. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but their product is just excellent. At the moment of serving, I am adding one last touch of my homemade bergamot hydrosol to add a little more citrusy depth. Note that this step is optional. Şerefe. Cheese in Turkish, literally meaning for honor. Cocktail 2, the Şerbeti Gulab. Okay, now this one is an important one because this cocktail is one of the oldest cocktails that was ever made, dating from right after the invention of distillation during the Abbasid era. Now, to be clear, there are older mixtures that could be called cocktails made with fermented alcohol like beer, wine, and mead that are pretty much older than this one, dating all the way back to the first Iranian Empire at the time of the Achaemenid dynasty. And I'm not even counting the ones that were made in China, India, or Egypt during the Bronze Age. What makes this one special is that it is the first one that was made with an actual spirit. And by the way, this cocktail was an instant success and got exported intraculturally inside the Middle East from its Persian roots first as jalab in Arabic. And then the name you probably heard the most, sorbet julep or julep for short. As the invading European crusaders gained a strong foothold in the Levant region at the start of the 12th century and integrated in their culture a lot of what they have learned from the locals of the Middle East, namely having a proper cuisine, using spices, crafting confectionery, and distilling alcohol, all of which were exported back to continental Europe after the defeat and subsequent departure of the Crusaders. This cultural exchange also included sorbet making from the Arabic word sherbet, and you guessed it, the julep cocktail. Another theory is that the julep was adopted into Europe through Spain, where this time the Muslim armies coming from the Middle East over North Africa were the invaders, and left a lot of their culture after leaving. Yet, when I look at the documentation online, I see a ton of blah blah about how the julep came to be in the late 18th to the early 20th century southern US bars, but I see very little, if no information at all, about how it originally is from the Arabs and the Persians. But again, here we are to set this straight. To clarify a bit, there is a modern non-alcoholic cold drink still made in the Levant called Julep in Arabic, and it does carry some relation to the Abbasid era cocktail from the materials used, but it is now a virgin cocktail version since a sizable portion of the Muslim population of the Middle East have resorted to alcohol abstinence, especially in the last century. Okay, first let's go over what you'll need. Grape molasses, dried grape arak. I'm using again the üzüm kuzu here as it is the closest contender. Grape, i.e. red wine vinegar for the original version made strictly from grape byproducts, or lime juice or lemon juice, but you will need something sour, something acidic. Rose water. Also, shaved ice, a julep cup, and a julep strainer. Please stay tuned for a detailed explanation of the ingredients and all the materials after this video. Making this cocktail is super easy. The formula is a very precise 3, 2, 1, as 4. 3 measures of the molasses, 2 measures of the arak, and 1 measure of the acid, may it be lime, lemon juice, or vinegar. I'm using high quality red wine vinegar from Şarköy in the European part of Turkey here. Mix everything at room temperature in a mixing tin. Finish with a few droplets of rose water. Then pour over your julep glass, which you filled with shaved ice until the ice changes color. You can optionally sprinkle some last droplets of rose water here if you wish. You will have noted that I've gone super old school here by shaving my ice from an actual block like they would have done in the actual Abbasid era. Yes, they had refrigerators and had access to ice all year long. Look it up if you don't believe me. The reason this cocktail is extra good is that it combines 3 different sides of a single fruit, the grape, into one, namely the sweet side, molasses, the spirit side, the arak, and the sour side, the vinegar. Place the julep strainer on top and enjoy. Sherefe. Thank you for watching What the Mutfak. My name is Emir Ali and I've been your host in this episode. If you like what you saw, feel free to like, share, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting content about our greater region. Until then, yarasın. Extra Nerd Corner. So, by the way, what the heck is grape molasses? Grape molasses, a singular word, by the way, is a super important staple of our region called üzüm pekmezi in Turkish, dibs al-anab in Arabic, and shirei angur in Persian. If you don't have access to it, it is pretty easy to manufacture. All that you need to do is take red or black grapes, juice them, strain the juice, and boil that juice in a copper confectioner pan, like this one, until it gains a consistency close to honey, but not quite, like this. Also, what the hell is rose water? Rose water called gül suyu in Turkish, ma el-warad in Arabic, and gulab in Persian, the actual namesake of that cocktail, by the way, which is one of the most famous hydrosols of our region. Hydrosol means water-based distillate, and it is simply made by steeping dried buds or petals of the beautifully scented Damascus rose, Latin name Rosa Damascena, in water and boiling it in an alembic still to extract the distillate. I made this one from the dried petals of the roses of my own yard. Here they are. It is really easy to do if you have the required tools. But if you live around here, there are very good ones on the market already, such as this one from the city of Sparta in Turkey. The ones from Kashan in Iran are also famous, as Kashan is by far the largest cultivator of the Rosa Damascene. Let's not pass without mentioning the very high quality rosewater made in the mountains of Lebanon, and the one in Damascus, Syria, the actual place where that very variety of rose got its name from. What is a julep cup and a julep strainer? A julep cup is made in that specific convex design since the Abbasid era for the simple reason that it is made to hold shaved ice in the most efficient way possible, with a bronze foot to prevent it from tilting. This one is made from silver plated thick copper that will immediately pass on the cold of your ice to your hands in the heat of the sun. The strainer, on the other hand, has for duty to separate the ice from the concoction, and having been invented in a time place where straws were not even known or popular yet, its role is basically the same as the role of a metal straw that you could eventually substitute it with, i.e., separating your ice from the drink. I will recommend, however, the original cup and strainer for the full experience. A word of our sponsor, Soy. Hi everyone. Our company Soy has a super special extra 5% discount over whatever existing or non-existing campaign that Soy could have, only for the viewers of What the Mutfak. Just enter the code WTM during checkout to take advantage of it and entering the super exclusive club of Soy owning What the Mutfak viewers. Cheers and Saul. Also, I'll leave a link for all soy products I've used in the description.